SEMA is always a special place and a really cool experience. If you're going to go live, go for it. If you want to record me, go for it. If you go live, tag me so that I can repost your live. Okay? So if anybody, and the way I want this to work is if anybody has any questions, even if I'm right in the middle of a great story, raise your hand. Let's ask, because I'm here for you. I want you guys to know exactly all the things that happened to me and what's gone on in my life to make me who I am today. And I encourage questions. I encourage you guys to get involved because that's what it's really about. So I thank you guys for taking the time on a Monday, which I didn't even think anybody would come today. So thank you for coming. Right? I'm really excited. So I'm Myles Kovacs. I'm the president and co-founder of Dub Magazine. Before that, I was a young Japanese Hungarian kid from East LA that wanted to be Mexican so bad you don't even know it, right? I would be telling my mom and dad, like, are you sure we're not Mexican? Are you sure? Not even a little bit? And Ancestry.com and stuff like that didn't exist back then. So I just had to kind of take her word for it. But, growing up in a tough neighborhood, my dad has that kind of gangster mentality, very street. Just happened like a couple months ago. My dad was at our office and he was grabbing like shirts and monsters and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And the guys are like, oh, your dad's grabbing a bunch of stuff. I'm like, hey. And then so I confront my father. He's like almost 70 now or whatever. And it's like, hey, Dad, what are you doing taking this stuff? He goes, no, I'm helping you. I go, helping me? What are you doing with it? He goes, I'm selling it. I go, you're selling it? Helping me would be giving us the money, right? That's called stealing, right? If you're not giving us the money back, But in his mind, he was thinking he's helping. And, so you think back when I grew up, that's that mindset that I grew up with. I grew up where on the street corner, you have one street corner. If somebody takes it over, you lose it. So life is always, I thought, was a zero-sum game, which was when everybody goes up or somebody goes up, you go down. That's not true. That's like a misbelief. That's like a street thing. That's just not true. We can all be successful at the same time. And I want everybody to really think about that because we have the, just this innate thing to where it's like, we always think that when somebody's doing well, we're not. And that's not true. We can all do well. We can all help each other. People tell me my biggest weaknesses. I tell everybody what I'm going to do. And I do. I tell everybody, if I invent something, I design something, I show it to everybody. Why do you think I do that? Anybody? Anybody? Get input, yes. Because guess what? If you operate in a box, you don't understand what people are thinking, you want that input. But there's one reason why I do it. It's called canary in the coal mine. So back in the day, the coal miners used to send canary birds into the actual coal mining tunnels. And if the birds die, there's methane gas in the tunnel. So the people won't go in there. So it's basically an indicator. So what I do is I use everybody as my canaries and I let them go do what I want to do. And I watch them. So I could go and develop 10 companies at one time without spending any money, without any casualties. Nobody's dying from methane gas because I'm letting somebody else do it. Because there's so much to learn from doing that. But you have to put your ego aside. Because what I realized is not who does it first, it's who does it right. So I wasn't the first one to do a magazine. Peterson Publishing, Lowrider, all of these guys, they paved the way for us to do what we do today. So I didn't invent that. I basically, to be honest with you, growing up in East LA, I was working on lowriders and really fascinated by lowriders and hydraulics and 13-inch Daytons and just, 520s, and, just the whole lowrider culture. So when I started Dub, I copied lowrider. I did. I basically said, okay, what are they doing? What market are they hitting? How are they doing it? They're doing shows, events, they're doing concerts. Everybody says, oh, Myles and Dub, we invented the car show concert. Lowrider did that way before us. I'm sure Robert Peterson did a lot of things that we did way before us. And to me, again, I'm not trying to be the first. I just want to do it to where it actually makes a difference. So going back, I'm a street kid from East LA. And growing up, tough neighborhood, just a lot of negativity around me. And by age 11, I was getting kicked out of school and just having a really tough time. I was never a good student. Still to this day, I'm not a good student. But I'm a student of the world. I'm a student of the universe. It's a lot different now. When I'm talking about just academic, like being in school. So growing up, was getting kicked out of school, having problems, and then I was diagnosed with an eye disease in both eyes at 11. So at 11 years old, I figured out why I was so angry. I couldn't see. So I couldn't see the book that the teachers wanted me to read. I couldn't read out loud. So still now I don't use any notes because I read good enough to read a contract, but I'm not a great reader. I've never read any real book in my life. You know, people are like, dude, you gotta read books. Well, try reading books when you can't see well. It's very, very difficult. And then how many people read audiobooks, right? I don't. You know why? Because I would sit there and read audiobooks and I'm driving and I almost crash every time. Because my mind works differently. I get so focused on what the book is saying, I forget I'm driving. Next thing you know, I'm blowing red lights. I'm like, oh my God, was that a red light or what was going on? You know, or I'm driving and I'm stopping. I'm like, I don't remember stopping. So I have to watch out for audiobooks. So if you see me listening to an audiobook when I'm driving, watch out. Okay? Watch out. And I'm Asian, forget it. Forget it. Right? They got the double whammy, right? It's a trifecta now, right? So just kind of going through that. So diagnosed with eye disease, and my parents wouldn't tell the teachers I was legally blind in my left eye and losing my vision in my right because they're embarrassed. They didn't understand what it was like to feel like that. Plus, they were embarrassed for me to go to school and not be perfect. So I had to struggle with that feeling. And I just went back recently and spoke in my elementary school, and the teachers were like, "We didn't even know." I said, "Yeah, it's sad, right?" They just thought I was stupid, or I didn't want to apply myself, but I really couldn't see the book, you know. And then I started going to the children's hospital, and then they started giving me contact lenses. And at 11 years old, almost 12, I remember going into the children's hospital. They're checking me out. They want to put these lenses in and stuff like that. And then they gave me the lenses and showed me how to put them in. I went to the bathroom. I put them in, and I looked in the mirror. I scared myself. I didn't know what it looked like. 11 years old. Then my mom, what came out, my mom was there. I didn't know what my mom looked like. So that day I was looking at Perfect Strangers. And it was a very, very difficult thing to do and just kind of build off of, you know. And people would be like, oh, you have scars on your face or your hair is messed up. I couldn't tell because I couldn't see it. So to me, it was good. So guess what? I probably picked ugly chicks. You know what I'm saying? Because they're nice, right? They're nice, right? I still do, you know? Right? But the reality of it is, you don't know what you have until it's gone. But I never had the sight to begin with. So when you realize it's gone, guess what I did? I was depressed. I got more angry. I quit playing sports. Just kind of sheltered myself for a year. And then I was like, dude, I told myself, I remember telling myself, I'm sitting in my room just pissed off. And I'm like, I ride motocross. I played baseball. I hit home runs, blind. I played soccer. I did this. I did all these things without that vision. But once I realized it wasn't there, then it scared me. So how do I go and take my mind back to where I was that day, where I was doing it? And then so that day forward, I said, you know what? I'm never going to let anything stop me from doing all these things. And I kind of challenged myself. I started riding motocross again. I started playing football, baseball, basketball. And it helped me develop skills. So if anybody has a disability, it creates extraordinary abilities. I call those my spidey senses. My spidey senses are because since God took my vision, God took my sight, He gave me vision. I'm able to see things differently. That's like my spidey senses. So I'm able to see things, articulate, and stuff differently than probably most people. One of the things that I've always saw was kind of the trends. What's going to happen next, what the trends are. I've always been pretty good at trend spotting. And part of it is because I could feel it. It's not so much just a visual thing. I could feel it. It's an intuitive thing. And as I've been progressing, I've been really working on honing in and tuning my intuition to where I could utilize it to, help benefit me, but most importantly, help benefit the world. And really kind of change the way people think. Because I started Dub Magazine. We started in 2000. We started right across the street at SEMA. We weren't even a SEMA member. So thank God they let me in the building now, right? So I rented the beach across the street. I'm a nightclub promoter prior to doing Dub. So I did nightclubs, parties, events. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go rent that nightclub and I'm gonna go wrap the whole building with signage and I'm gonna get sponsors to pay for it. Because that's what I did, I threw parties. So I did that at SEMA, and then next thing you know, SEMA was really upset at me. Kovacs was really upset. And then guess what? Well, I was aggressive too. I mean, I was 25 years old. So we had street teams and, we wrapped vehicles and all that stuff. So, we were really progressive for this industry. But I came out of the music industry and the fashion and all these other industries. They were already way more progressive. They're already manufacturing in China. So when I came over here and they're like, what do we do? We're gonna start making stuff in China? I was like, in the fashion industry, we've been doing that already for 10, 15, 20 years. Well, what's gonna happen? I can tell you what happened in the fashion industry. Same thing's gonna happen in this industry. Lower prices, things got knocked off, made it really competitive. It became just really a buyer's market. Very, very difficult. But that's when brands came in. That's where developing brands. I saw the difference between the knockoff and the actual name brand. Why do people pay so much money for Louis Vuitton? Why? Yeah, but I mean, it could be made at the same factory. Why do they, pay that much? Because they are untouchable, right? Their branding and everything's just, they do a really great job. And what people like is what the rich people want. So if the rich people want it, everybody wants it. So I looked at that and said, wow, you know what? If we can go and use these celebrities to promote these products, right? I wanted to do what Michael Jordan did for the shoe industry, for the wheel industry. People say, oh, I'm a car guy. I'm more a wheel guy, and I'm a motocross guy, right? I love riding motocross. I wish I could ride every day. That'd be my retirement, is to ride every day. Although I rode last week and I crashed. So I hit my head and, I'm okay. So, but, and I did that blind in my left eye. So I've been blind 3 times. I went blind last September again, trying to get a cornea transplant. So my eye's still messed up, as you can see. But it never stopped me. I just came back from Shanghai. I was in Greece, Mykonos, Athens, and Santorini. I was just in Amsterdam. I'll be in Saudi Arabia. Again, it's one of those things where most people that have blindness or things like that would just, basically stay in their house or not push themselves or whatever it is. And but let me tell you, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. You're talking and looking at a guy that, wanted to commit suicide since I was 7. So I have a very conflicted mind. I have a lot of demons, a lot of stuff going on. And actually I just lost my brother last year to suicide. So it's important for me to talk about mental crisis and panic attacks and just mental challenges, because we're all going through it. And we go through it every day, but yet we're in denial. Right? They say denial is not just a river in Egypt, right? It exists, right? So I've been talking about anxiety and panic attacks for almost 20 years. At SAE World Congress, CES, I've spoken at all these events and I always talk about it. And a lot of people back in the day would be like, what are you doing? Why do you expose yourself? Why do you expose yourself? I'm like, because if you don't expose yourself, somebody else will. And it hurts a lot more when somebody else tells your story. Let me tell my own story, right? Let me get it out there. Because what we realize is we're not afraid of what happened to us or what's going on. We're usually afraid of the response that we're going to get from other people. That's the way we live. What I realize is if I don't care what the response is from other people, and I just put it out there, then I realize that there's more people that have the same commonality that I do. What do you mean? Everybody's struggling? Everybody has trauma? Everybody's going through all of these things? What? They're trying to run their business. No, we're not. Everybody's trying to run their business They're trying to do their thing and they got all these things going on. So I made it my life kind of goal not to build Dub. I don't want to be known for pimping cars or building rims or whatever, designing rims or something like that. I want to be known for making a big difference in the world from a mindset change. I want to change people's mindsets. I don't want to get people to change the way they feel. I want them to change the way they feel about the way they feel. And that's what therapy and all this other stuff is really good at doing that if we allow it to happen. I'm 46 years old now. I go to therapy. I work with psychics. I work with mentors. I work with a lot of geniuses every day because I want to push myself to that next level constantly. And it's like if I have to be the guy, the janitorial guy that's sweeping the floors, I will. Because I want to be around winners, I want to be around champions, I want to be around not so much just wealthy people, but just people that have a lot of knowledge, that people that have that willpower. What's the difference between successful people and not successful people? Successful people go after what they want. Not successful people try to avoid what they don't want. So if you're sitting here and you're thinking about all the things you don't want to do because you're afraid to do it, or you don't want this to happen, the only way you're going to know what's going to really happen is to actually try it. And knowing what to do is not the solution. Knowing what not to do is the actual solution. When you know what not to do, you'll save time, money, energy, and everything. But unfortunately, the only way to figure out what not to do is actually to try it, to do it. So I constantly push myself every day. And I have to work on myself mentally. I gotta work on my ego. I gotta work on my depression. I gotta work on my anxiety. I gotta work on, panic attacks all the time. And just constantly working on it, I've developed my own mechanism. So Dub, fast forward, we sold 25 million toys, like little Hot Wheels toys, the Dub toys, 9.6 million video games. I bought a big old house, I had 15 cars. I was like, this is it. But I was in that big old house, had 15 cars that I never drove. And it was like, I was stuck. I sat there going, what's next? Then I started looking at a bigger house. And I had all these cars, Lambos, Ferraris, everything, and I'm thinking, I want a new Lambo. I had people's dream cars in my driveway, and you know what? I never drove them. And so I really thought about it. I said, why didn't I drive these cars? People go rent cars, they act like they're theirs. People tell people probably they own my cars, right? But it's because I never felt like I deserved it. So if you never feel like you deserve what you're gonna get, you can never keep it. Just remember that. Business, relationship, in life, if you don't feel like you deserve what you get, you can never keep it. And so being what I call broken myself, it was difficult because I never felt like I deserved anything. So it's hard for me to kind of break through that cycle. And I did it little by little, and what I had to do was change the way I thought of life, myself, people, everything else. So in 2007, I started flying around all over the nation and working with Fortune 50 and Fortune 500 companies. PepsiCo, Anheuser-Busch, General Motors, Chrysler, Procter & Gamble, Unilever. We had deals with all of these companies. And they were all, they would tell me that year, we're cutting back $500 million out of the budget. I'm like, $500 million? I can't even imagine that. How do you do that? We're cutting back $300 million out of the budget, $200 million, $100 million. So I was freaked out, and our business was cranking. And I flew back, I was just like, man, I didn't know what was going on. I was so conflicted because the market was so charging. But everybody was talking about this crash that was gonna happen. So this was early 2007. And so I came back and I was explaining to my wife and my business partners what's going on. And the weirdest thing was one of my partners thought I was lying to him and I was gonna run the company to the ground to screw him up. And I'm like, what? Why would I do that? One, because if I screw you up, it's screwing me up too, right? But the reality of it is, he thought that. He ended up leaving the company, suing us, so we had to battle that battle now. Then the economy's crashing. And all these sponsors are cutting their budgets in half. And we're like, what are we doing? What's gonna happen? So I'm all freaked out. I ended up flying out to Detroit for this event. And I'm speaking, and this lady asked me a question. She said, is the glass half full or half empty? Anybody? Is it half full or half empty? Sir? Half full?
Half full.
Half full?
It needs to be topped up.
Needs to be topped up. What is it?
Full.
Full? What is it? Huh? Full. Well, I said it, it's half full because I want to be positive, right? If it's half empty, you're being a pessimist. So I go, it's half full because somebody told me to say that. And then I thought about it. I went back 5 minutes later and I said, if you get a smaller glass, it'd be oozing out with joy. It's called right sizing. And I sat there and said, well, I came home, convinced my wife to sell our 8,000 square foot house. I sold all my cars and just basically right sized my life. Because I wasn't happy with it anyways. It was actually killing me. And then if you believe in feng shui, if you have negative space and you're not using your stuff, it manifests negativity. So I felt like I was just surrounded by raging demons. It was really, really bad for me. Once I was able to get out of that house with all those empty bedrooms, get out of the cars and the excess, and really clean the clutter, my life changed. That was just a pivotal moment. And then it's still to this day, it's funny. People watch me maybe on Secret Millionaire or different shows where they show my big house and my cars, and they're like, oh, your big house. I go, no, I sold it. No, everyone thinks I'm lying. It's like, I'm just gonna tell everybody I still have it. It doesn't matter. Nobody will believe me anyways. I wear these earrings, and I was going to meetings too about the same time, and my earrings broke, and I was on the road, so I got some fake ones, and I wore it to the meetings. And they're like, oh, nice earrings. I go, no, they're fake. No, they're fake. I'm trying to tell everybody they're fake. Nobody would believe me. So I'm like, man, I'll just wear fake ones, right? If nobody's gonna believe me, who cares? Who cares? But what I realized was whether I came out of a, multi-million-dollar house or I rented a condo, what gave me the power was I was the same person. People actually liked me for me. I was like, wow, people like me? Man, this is weird. Man, look, I like this. Let me drive a truck. People like me, I drive a truck. I could dress regular. I don't have to try to show off. I don't have to have this house. Not only that, when you got a smaller house, nobody comes over. Okay? So remember that. So I found a smaller house with the best view with no parking. So if people want to visit me, they got to either Uber or they got to take a hike. And I live up a hill, okay? I did that on purpose because not even my mother-in-law comes to visit me. Nobody comes and visit me, right? And I did that on purpose. I'm like, you know what? Why am I going to always throw parties and cater to everybody and do all these things for what? I'm paying for it all the time. Guess who has to clean it up? Me. I got to clean it up. I got to prep it. I got to do all those things. It's like, forget it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Again, we do all of these things every day to try to make other people happy. So I want everybody to think about this. When you're on the airplane and they said that oxygen mask falls down, what are you supposed to do with it?
You first.
Put it on you first. Well, we're sitting there every day trying to put it on everybody else. Let's get some oxygen for ourselves, right? Now I'm an oxygen whore. I'm just like, you know what, that's my oxygen. But, let's go and let's help ourselves be better so we can help other people be better. So I lived dead for 35 years. And when I tell people, when negative things happen, there's only two outcomes. We become bitter or we become better. I was bitter for 35 years. Now I'm really focused on being better. And that's a lot of work. It's not easy because we program ourselves to think a certain way. But there's new forms of therapy now, like NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Basically, it's like this. When we have a defense mechanism, there's a trail in our mind. We always go down to the right trail. It's like boom, boom, boom. So if something happens, we go that way. How do we program our mind to go this way? How do we do that? It's like going down a hiking trail. So think about it. If I start going, my defense mechanism is to go right, but I'm going to now go left. After I do it 29 times, 30 times, it'll become a habit. I do it 90 times, it becomes a lifestyle change. Next thing you know, the new trail is barren with bushes around it. The old trail, it's grown over. That's how we mindset change ourselves. That's how important it is, and it's not easy to do. So I work on that every day because my first initial reaction is to fight everybody. That's it. I mean, you know, with trauma going back to 5 years old, I'm like a little kid. I throw things, I break stuff. You know, I like to hit the walls. Not anymore. I used to like to hit the walls because I thought it was tough, you know. But I would always want to fight people, and that was like my biggest, probably drawback, because here I am at 25 years old trying to launch this company, and if somebody said something I didn't like, I was trying to fight him, right? So guess what? Who's going to want to meet with a guy that they know is going to try to fight with them? Nobody. So I had to change the way I thought, change the way I felt, change everything about myself just to kind of fit in. But not so much fit in, just to be normal. Just to feel like, you know what, I don't need to prove myself. If I'm happy with myself, I no longer have to prove myself. And that's something that's very, again, very difficult to do. But if you medicate the sickness, there will be no symptoms. If you don't medicate the symptoms, there'll always be medicating medicate the sickness, there'll be medicating the symptoms, right? That's always going to be there. So if you have a runny nose, it's because you might have like a viral infection or something you need antibiotics. But we go to CVS and we're like, no, we need runny nose medicine. So we're always medicating the symptoms. So if something happened to me that gave me trauma and I'm not dealing with that, I'm medicating the symptoms of what's going on today because of what happened to me. We all do that. Once I changed that and said, let me go and get some antibiotics because I'm really sick, there is no symptoms. And so it's about really changing that mindset and going in there deep and going in there and really what I call cleaning the closet out. And when you do that, it's like you're sitting on all this poison. Once you're able to put that poison on the table, your life will be, you feel lighter. But you got to keep on working. You got to go deeper and deeper. So when I speak about my traumas and all these other things, it's me taking the poison out. It's me inviting people with me on a journey to feel my pain, my suffering, and all the things that I go through every day. I mean, I still go through a lot of anxiety. I still go through stuff. I haven't had a panic attack in 10 years, though. Okay? And I'm blind right now, so I went to Australia, and my wife's like, you want to go in the water? I said, hell no, right? The shark's going to attack me. At least I want to see it, right? And they're big over there. And, you know, and another note, when we're in Australia, there was six shark attacks within the last month of us going there. So I was like, hell no. Hell no. A little fat Japanese guy, they're going to think I'm a seal. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to come after me, you know? So, but just again, understanding those barriers, push yourself, stretch yourself, grow yourself. Be around people that want to stretch you, that want to actually expand you and push your horizons. You'll be surprised how far and what you can do when you actually believe in yourself. And there's days, like I said, I mean, I just spoke with Stedman Graham, which is Oprah Winfrey's boyfriend, husband, significant other, at an event. And I just did 3 events in one day on Friday. And then one of them was just talking about my story. I'm less nervous about that. Like, I get nervous right before I'm going to go up or the night before. But the other one, I was giving him an award for the YMCA and the Los Angeles Rams. And the night before, they sent me 6 paragraphs about that fat of what they wanted me to read about Stedman Graham for his award. And I was like, fuck that. You know what I mean? Like, they sent it to me at like 10 o'clock at night. So I honestly didn't sleep that night because I was so worried about messing up when I was reading. So I emailed the guy back at like 2 in the morning saying, do you know I'm blind right now, right? He goes, okay, then I'll just make the letters bigger. I said, no, like, I'm not going to be able to read that. I'm going to feel stupid. Like, just please. I go, is there a teleprompter so you can make it bigger? No, I'm going to have to read it from the podium in writing. I said, forget that. So he reversed, changed the notes up, made like big old revisions. And then I read some of it, and then I just basically spoke from my heart. And they listened to everything, but you got to have a hobby. So for me, it's writing moto. So people are like, dude, you're so busy, blah, blah, blah. But I'll take 3 hours in it one day, just randomly in the middle of the day to go ride motocross. There's a track locally, so I have and people always make fun of me. I have my bike on my truck. A lot of the times they're like, dude, you never take it off. I go, no, because if I'm out in Orange County and I'm 30 minutes from the track and one of my meetings canceled, I'm gonna go ride. You know, it's like you have to have that outlet. If you do not have that outlet, you're gonna make yourself go crazy. I tell my wife, motocross to me is like yoga. That's my yoga. I love it, and it's one of those things where I feel free. I started riding when I was 11 when I was blind technically. So I don't know if it connects with that. Like it just gives me this form of freedom, and it's also pretty scary. You could get really hurt. So you can't think, damn, did I pay this? Or God, I gotta do this. You're out there just really focusing on not killing yourself. So I think that really helped me kind of get away. But going back to that balance, it's really about balancing. But when my daughter was young, I didn't spend a lot of time with her as much as I wanted to, but I told her, you're gonna get the quality. I'm not gonna give you the quantity. Because I see parents with their kids so often, they're playing games, they're doing this, and they're not even watching them. And they're all day just sitting there, they're not doing anything with them. So for me, it's like, I don't need to help you with your homework and do this and yell at you and all that stuff. We're gonna go to Disneyland for 3 hours. And I'll just give her the best 3 hours I could. Those are the things you're gonna remember. And another thing too is if you have kids, I used to yell at my kids, clean your room. But I never showed them how to clean their room. So if you're yelling at your employees or your kids about things, show them how to do it correctly. Train them properly so that they can actually do it. Then when they don't do it, you have something to talk about. Because I didn't know how to study when I was younger. I was dumb. So I had to try to help my kids study. They're in like calculus and all that other stuff. I was like, forget this, you know. But you could Google everything, you know. And then now it's like you have Siri and you got, what's the other one, Alexa? They all use that for homework. It's like, so if you have a kid, they're using Alexa for homework, I'm just telling you. But it's a good thing though, because they're gonna be able to do that in real life, and it's gonna help them. Any other questions? We're about an hour. Yes?
You know when you're talking about spotting trends, like in your gut.
Yes.
Right now, like it seems to me that like the youth, this new generation, they're not into cars. And like, how do you feel like that affects this industry in general? Like,
Yeah, I got a really crazy, funny story about that. So about 10 years ago, they hired me as a speaker to speak in San Diego at an autonomous car convention. And it was all the top BMW, Mercedes, Audi. I mean, this was like creme de la creme. They're all there. And I was a keynote speaker. And I thought about what I was going to say. I went over there and I told them, look guys, you guys are wasting your time. Nobody wants a goddamn car that drives itself, right? 10 years later, I don't want to test one. So I feel like an ass. Okay? But what I didn't understand was autonomy was safety. It's not really to get a car to drive itself. It's about all the safety features. Self-braking, self-driving, could change lanes. So it's more of a safety thing. I didn't think about it that way. I thought of it as a threat to the industry. What's going to happen potentially is micromobility is going to take over. When micromobility takes over, we're going to be able to customize those and customize some of the cars, but it's going to be a lot different than it is today. It's going to evolve. But the good thing is, it's going to evolve to the millennials and the next generation. That's going to be their norm, right? It's like the Riddler Award a couple years ago was like a 1970 something car. Next thing, it's going to be a 1983 Monte Carlo Super Sport. I mean, it's an evolution. It's getting older and older as we get older. So to me, if the next generation doesn't want to drive a dump style car or a lifted level truck, I really don't care. Because guess what? I'm smart enough to partner with them and launch something else. So you have to be willing to move. If Lowrider moved, that wouldn't exist. If some of the truck magazine was to move, lifted and level wouldn't exist. It's just one of those things. So you can't be afraid to go into different areas. And I encourage you to really look outside the industry. I work on projects outside of the automotive industry all the time because you have new thinking, different mindset. When you sit here and you have the same mindset, we've been doing this for 50 years, right? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. That's the definition of insanity. So to me, I change stuff My staff hates it. I change stuff just to change it, just to see what's gonna happen. They get pissed off, but it usually turns out okay. Because we either learn, one, we're going the wrong way, or it validates what we're doing, right? So it's about that. Questions?
More about your personal goal. But now that you've gone through all your life changes and stuff like that, how is it now that your wife has also helped you with your journey? And I know you can't really answer for her, but I'm just curious as a wife and as a partner. And
Yes. Well, you know, I married my wife because she made me better. And that's really what it comes down to. People ask me all the time, when do you know to get married? When do you have, find people that make you better. And that's really what it's about. And the other thing is she let me ride dirt bikes, so I was really cool with that, right? But I have a trick to that. So if you guys are following me on Facebook and Instagram, you'll see it, because I'm gonna get a new bike pretty soon. I buy a new bike and I tell her that she bought it for me. And then she's all happy because all her friends are like, "You're such a great wife. You bought him a motorcycle." I paid for it. I bought it. But I give her the credit, and she loves that, right? So as long as I give her the credit, right? Just give her the credit. That's all they want. They don't want anything, they just want the credit, right? But going back to that, my wife, the beautiful thing about my wife is I met her before Doug. So she actually gave me $1,200 to fly to New York to get our first advertisers for Doug Magazine. Prior to us even dating, we were just kind of friends. And then we ended up getting married and all that stuff. And she helped me stay focused because I'm not chasing a bunch of girls and stuff, right? Which is not a good thing for me. Because I have a highly addicted personality. But one of the things that I'm very proud of is when I started Doug Magazine, I stopped drinking, smoking, and doing drugs. Yeah, I used to do drugs. Right? So I haven't had a drink, drugs, or smoke, or whatever for over 20 years. And that's why I've been able to do what I did. Because had I been doing all those things, I probably would have killed myself. For sure. So I think a lot of it is, if you're not happy with your own skin, you need those things to make yourself feel better. I come to Vegas, I don't do any of those things. It doesn't really do much for me. So my wife has been a big support in that. She also works in the business. She's really organized, so she helps organize the paperwork and all that stuff. Unlike Hurricane Katrina, she's like FEMA. She'll come in and clean it up. Yes.
A lot of things I hear you say kind of resonates with a guy named Gary Vee.
Yeah.
That basically tells all entrepreneurs that
To kiss his ass and go fuck
Yeah.
off. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
yeah, but he also said that every company should look at themselves as a media company.
That's true.
But then he's being very diversified. And my question to you is, like, when you're being diversified with the things that you're doing, how are you, like, what is one key thing that you could tell us about finding the people inside Doug that you've empowered to continue doing something while you go and do something else?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Is if the people can't do their job, they should be fired. And I tell that to everybody that works with us. Because if they're complaining about someone, like, fire them. No, I don't want to fire them. You're going to come and complain to me, fire them. I'm going to fire them, right? Whether they're my cousin, my aunt, even my wife. If she's not doing her job, she shouldn't be there. But it's like this, when you find that person that makes you better, it's the same thing with business. So when I first started, I hired people that needed me because I want to feel important. Now I hire people that I need because I want to go to the next level. So you got to look for people. You look at Elon Musk and all these guys, do you think they're hiring their cousins or their aunts or, no. They're hiring the smartest people in the world. And they're basically taking out all that information. And they're doing things that they might not even know much about, but they have the specialists that do. And they're able to go to the next level because of that. But when I was younger, I was intimidated by those people. But it's like playing basketball. You want to be playing basketball with the best in the world so you can get better. If you're playing at the YMCA locally and you're dunking on those kids and all that stuff, that's all you're going to be able to do. It's when you're playing the top guys in the world and you're able to win, that's a true champion. So I constantly am trying to push the envelope in who I talk to, what I'm doing, and just really go. And again, it's a balance, right? People ask me why I don't speak more and why don't I do more of this and that. It's because I'm busy, But eventually, I'll go down that career path. It's going to be open for me. But right now, I love what I'm doing, and I still feel like there's a lot of value in it. But I've been trying to ramp up my speaking, ramp up coaching, and doing different things because I feel like I can make a substantial difference. And You know, it's funny, this one lady told me, because I was like, I'll work on the book later, I'll do this later, and then she's like, stop being selfish. Like, she thought that I could contribute more, and that's really what I've been doing. So if you guys would go and speak at your local church or kids group or whatever it is and volunteer, please. Because they don't need money. People don't need money. Money creates problems. They need love and they need attention. And it feels so good when you go and give something back. All right. So if we learn anything from today, it's really that. Any questions?
Got one.
Yes.
You spoke of mentors earlier.
Mhm.
What system do you use to choose those people that you will surround yourself with success? And when do you choose them? When you're in trouble or when you're doing well?
Well, it's a great question. So self-improvement needs to be constant. So when I'm looking for people to be around, I meet everybody. I print my cell phone on my business card still because I want people to reach out to me. And I go to meetings and I always catch myself like, oh, I don't want to go meet with this, bro. I don't even know what they're going to talk about, you know? Then I go to that meeting, I'm like, this is the best meeting ever. There's a nugget in there. It might not be a business relationship that I'm going to build, but it's actually an opportunity that makes me think about something else. So I'm listening to them talk and boom, it's like I get this idea. I'm like, oh man, if I wasn't in that meeting talking to that person, I wouldn't get that idea. So I open up dialogue with everyone because just because they're successful doesn't mean they're a good mentor or a good person. You know, there's a lot of people that mentored me in my life, and you know, and they're just regular people. I mean, it's like going and, you know, being at the motocross track or being at the lake or whatever, and you just talk to somebody, they just inspire you, you know, or you get that idea, you just get that feeling. So, yeah, the key is treat people the way you want to be treated. And you never know, right? And I tell people, the toes you step on today might be that connected to the ass you kiss tomorrow, so step lightly. I treat everybody the same. I met the president and CEO of GM when I was young. I just started Dub. And they came up at the Detroit Auto Show booth, and they're talking to me. And they had security and all this stuff, and I'm like, I didn't know who they were. I was talking about, I think we had like Shaquille O'Neal's Escalade or in our booth or the Hummer. And they're like talking to me and this and that. Then they walked away, and then one guy gave me the card back, and the other guy gave me a card. You know, it was Gary Calvin or Rick Wagner when we first started. You know, and people, and after that, like the booth was packed with people. Like, do you know who that was? I said, I didn't care who that was. You know, who is it? And then they told me, and I was like, I'm going to talk to the janitor or the president the same way. I mean, you're talking about a young guy, right? So at the same auto show, they said Bloomberg wants to interview you. So I said, okay. What the hell's Nickelodeon doing here? I thought it was Boomerang. You know, I thought it was a cartoon. I swear to God. I said, why does Nickelodeon want to interview me? So I did an interview. They didn't ask anything about cartoons, so I figured, hey, it's all good. Then I went back and I said, yeah, I just did Bloomberg. And they're like, Bloomberg, do you know what that is? I go, yeah, it's a cartoon thing. Boomerang, right? That's how stupid I was. But, you know, again, I think that's why I succeeded, because what I lacked in talent, I made up an effort. And I was so aggressive that it didn't matter how ignorant I was, because I was going to push my way through it, regardless. I hit the wall many times, but again, that was just part of my strategy. I learned how to get up faster than I got knocked down. That's all it is. We're all going to get knocked down. We're all going to go through negative things.
Getting up before you went down.
That's it. No, trust me, I've been knocked down. Yeah, I've been knocked down many times. But, you know, having good people around you, including your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, whatever it is really crucial. Because when you feel alone, that's when you're going to make mistakes, for sure. Any other questions? Anybody else? So I'll end this with, in my mind, there's these two wolves, and they're constantly fighting. One stands for positivity, and it's big and strong. One stands for negativity, and it's just... And I was talking about this at one event, and this person said, Myles, the wolves are fighting in my mind too. All I want to know is what wolf wins. And I said, oh, that's all you want to know? Well, the answer is very simple. If you feed the positive wolf in your mind, it'll be bigger and stronger than the negative wolf and beat it up every day. If you feed the negative wolf in your mind, it'll be bigger and stronger than the positive wolf and it'll beat it up every day. But when you feed the positive wolf, don't forget, wolves don't travel alone. So when you go and beat up the negative wolf, it brings the positive wolf pack around you to protect you. If you feed the negative wolf, it'll beat up the positive wolf, and then you have the snarling negative wolf pack around you, inviting misery, inviting pain, and inviting all the negativity. So I'll ask everybody in the audience, what wolf are you feeding? Thank you very much. If anybody has more questions or whatever, we could take it on the side. We have room for a little longer.